Hi everyone, welcome to Terra Angel Intuitive. My name is Jess, and if you found yourself here watching this video today, there might be something in here for you. Not everything will resonate, and that's okay too. If it doesn't, just leave it here. It might be a message meant for somebody else. This is a collective message. Therefore, there are a lot of different energies that will be kind of tapping into the message that I'm going to be receiving today to give to you. So this will be a collective reading as well. It is also timeless, so when you find it, it's the time that you are meant to find it. I kind of do things a little bit differently. I use my intuitive abilities and the messages that Spirit gives to me along with what's on the cards, but I don't necessarily use any typical tarot spread, and I don't always use a typical definition for some of the tarot cards. I read a lot from the energy, and I use a lot from the imaging that is on it with what's going on. So with that being said, welcome. If you haven't liked and subscribed, go ahead and do that now. That's much appreciated. And let's go ahead and get started. I have already cleansed my space. I've already meditated and pre-pulled some of these cards, but I don't know what they are, so it's going to be a surprise for all of us. That is typically how Spirit and I kind of work together, and I do like the surprise of each card. It gives me a better opportunity to have more of a true read on what the energy is, especially with these collective reads that we're doing. Okay, so let's kind of get started. I'm having a lot of physical symptoms right now. I'm having a lot of anxiety and kind of rapid heartbeat, a little bit dizzy. So some of you may be experiencing a lot of anxiety with what's going on in your life. I'm not exactly sure the circumstances yet, so let's kind of get into the cards and see where we're going. There's also this feeling of kind of hesitation, and we've had this a couple times lately, and it might just be the energy that's going on, or whoever I'm picking up on is really experiencing this hesitation where you know something has to get done, but you're not quite ready or not quite sure, or you're afraid of not doing it right or making the wrong decision. That could be a situation that you're really focusing on right now in your journey. Okay, so we're gonna start over here, top or bottom. You may also be struggling with knowing what your intuition is saying. I'm usually very, very clear with what Spirit is telling me. So this hesitation and this kind of, it's not an inability, but it's almost like the voice is so quiet that I am not sure if that's really what I'm hearing. I know that's not mine. Like I said, I've developed mine and know mine very well. So this could be something that you're struggling with also. Trusting that own inner voice for you. So we're going to start. Okay, now that I've said this, we're going clear here. Okay. So this card, misalignment. The card says, miracles become normal once we face all the aspects of our life in the same direction. So if we look at the image, you know, she does not have clothes on. There is not showing any kind of nudity, but it is very obvious that she does not have any clothes on. If you also see here, it's kind of a moon or a sphere behind her, but it's almost as if it is shielding her, like her her intuition is not connected. There's a blockage there. So she's not exactly sure what she needs to do. Her eyes are closed, but the expression on her face is one more of, I'm getting anguish. I'm getting pain. Pain from being vulnerable, pain from somebody hurting you, maybe in a relationship or maybe in a situation that you are in that you gave so much of yourself, you bared so much of your soul, and you believed so much in what they were telling you that you failed to see, I don't know, some of the red flags, or they made you second guess maybe some of your initial feelings with them. Could be somebody with narcissistic tendencies, where they do a lot of those behaviors, that the gaslighting behaviors, where you're not really sure what you think or how you think. Okay. You just feel very alone and disconnected and very vulnerable. And really in the shadows. Okay, this one, the blue damselfly, commune with nature. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read from the guidebook with this one. But yeah, there's a closer version of the image. Okay. Okay. Damselfly is a creature of water and sunlight. Her rainbow wings move faster than the human eye can follow. Only partially of this mortal realm, Damselfly can lead you to the interstitial spaces where magic lives and the earth elementals dance, showing you the rich complexity that exists in even the smallest patch of the natural world. Look to these tiny beings to be seduced so you can fall in love again with the wonder of life and being alive. When you realize the illusions woven by culture and civilization, you'll find your own effervescence and iridescence. What is real? Blue Damselfly asks. And what do you want to be real? So it's almost as if asking, like this one here, right? What is real about the situation? Did I make it up? Did I see it differently? Did they kind of, was there an illusion with what's going on? You know, a lot of people have a tendency, especially in relationships, where they fall in love with somebody for who they want them to be versus who they actually are. They kind of make up their own image or their own version of them, or they fail to see some of the, you know, the signs after a certain amount of time, or after people get comfortable, and then they start to kind of go into their true nature of who they are. I am picking up that there may be a small amount of you that had a relationship in the past that was abusive. And that you might be really digging through some of those traumas and those emotions and those feelings and trying to figure out, well, what was real and what was an illusion within that situation. Any relationship that is abusive in any capacity, mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually, financially, is not healthy and is not acceptable. That is not love. If you are abusing somebody and making them feel small or making them feel less than or trying to exert power and control over somebody, that is not a healthy relationship dynamic. If you are currently in that situation, please find the appropriate resources for you and know that that is not love. That is not love, and you deserve more than that. But if you are dealing with some of these reflections of past memories and past relationships that you've had, then you could definitely be feeling blocked off and vulnerable and naked and alone and isolated in the dark about a lot of what was going on or a lot about the decisions that was happening. That probably won't resonate with many of you, but there are definitely a few, and I have been called to mention that. Okay. All right, in relationships, the biggest thing you must look for is consistency. Every time you forgive someone who is not being consistent with you, you are giving them permission to hurt you again. You deserve better. So yeah, this definitely validates that part of the component. And even if they're not abusive with you, you know, you can still have some of these tendencies in the relationships where they're kind of only there whenever they want something. That's not a healthy relationship. Or there is manipulation. There's a lot of different components with what's going on. But you need to ask yourself, what do you need in a relationship? What are your non-negotiables in relationships? And what are important things to make you feel loved and seen and heard? What are some of the things that you want? What do you want a relationship to look like? A lot of times people get into a relationship just so they're not alone. That's not a good enough reason. Okay. The journey wasn't the smoothest or the most pleasant lately, but everything is coming together. Your patience, strength, and perseverance will soon be rewarded. The wait is almost over. Hold on. So I'm getting the word boundaries with this one. And boundaries are extremely important, especially on any journey for yourself. You know, we're not taught enough about boundaries, but it basically, what they do is they teach people how to love us in the way that we need. And you can tell a lot about somebody's intentions in the relationship with you if they are able to respect the boundaries that you clearly state to them, or if they don't. Okay, so there are some of you that they think you never had any boundaries. You just kind of did whatever the other person told you. And therefore, you don't know who you are. You don't know what you believe in. You don't know what you like or what you don't like, or you are not holding space, or you have not held space in prior relationships for yourself to be in that relationship. It was almost as if you went along with everything that other person said. There were no thoughts, because in that moment right there, my entire mind went blank and quiet. Again, totally not normal for me. My mind is busy, and I think all the time, which is not a bad thing, but that moment was a little bit odd for me to just go completely blank with it was just black space in my mind's eye right there. So you have to discover who you are. There is no identifying information about this woman in this picture. Nothing about this picture can give anybody any clues about who she is. So asking yourself, not am I real or am I illusion, but are you being authentic? And who is your authentic self? Those are really great, places to start. What brings you joy? What do you like? A lot of times when I was working in I worked in the mental health field for many years, and in clients that really struggled with codependent relationships, which is pretty typical if we do have this somebody that has narcissistic tendencies, the other person will have codependent tendencies. It's a very common dynamic of how that works. So the codependent person would be coming in and experiencing tremendous amounts of anxiety. First place to start with that would be to be boundaries of, what you will and won't accept and what's going on. But the second thing was them learning to figure out what their own identity was in the relationship. They identified themselves as part of their partner's identity, not as their own individual. They were trying to merge with the other person and went along with whatever the other person wanted because they wanted to please them. They wanted the other person to be happy, but it was at their own expense. And so eventually they were people pleasing so much that they never learned or felt confident in who they are and what they liked. Their identity just wasn't there. It was blank. There was nothing. And so you may be at this place where you don't know who you are. So I encouraged a lot of them to go out and try things. Go to the movies by yourself. If you see something that's getting ready to come out and you're excited, but you don't want to go because nobody's going to go with you, why not go by yourself? I always like going to the movies by myself. Go to a restaurant by yourself. Go do things by yourself and find out what you like or what you don't like. The only way you're going to learn is to try it out. And if you like it, great. If you don't, okay. There are plenty of other things that you can try. But that's what life is about. It's about experiencing things, not living vicariously through somebody else. And in a healthy relationship dynamic, two people are coming to walk side by side, not to merge together. So you've started, or you may be in this place currently now. This may have been a place where you were at some point. You could be, because I'm getting progression with how this energy is flowing. And even if we look at it, all the cards are kind of they're really the darker colors. They're really kind of blocked off to a certain degree. We've got a little bit of this light here. We've got that circle. And then we have this kind of circle shielding her. But it's a very closed-in view. Now, I will say that this one has more life in it. It's kind of all over the place, because he's not the damselfly is not really straight in its path, but that's okay. Again, that's the adventure of trying to find out what you like and what you don't like. And then we have the white flower off to the side, meaning that there is growth. We also have, if we look at the water in the background too, it's calm, it's peaceful. So maybe now that you are not in this particular relationship dynamic, where you are not in that heightened state of emotions where you have to be ready for anything, now you are finally able, because you feel safe enough, you are finally able to process a lot of what had happened within that relationship. And struggling with feeling alone, and struggling with feeling isolated, and struggling with feeling vulnerable and completely unmasked. And it can be overwhelming. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, we're going to go this way here. Oh, all right. Narcissist, yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Let's keep moving, because this definitely validates that energy that I was picking up. I do feel like it's more of a past experience that you've had, a past relationship that you had, or recognizing past patterns that it's not so current, but you're able to see things from a different, safer perspective at this point. Okay. I have shine from within. But if we look at this particular picture, look at it almost looks like the same iridescent wings that this damselfly had. Okay. And the figure here is almost, they're very similar to me. It's almost like it looks like a younger version of that woman to me in this picture. So I'm being called to read this. It says, looks are only skin deep. True beauty shines from within, and it's time for you to shine. This is a time for self-acceptance and for revealing your true beauty. So learning who you are, and some of that may require you remembering who you were and starting at who you were before you had that relationship. What gave you enjoyment before you were involved with this particular person? Did you like to go, ride horses? That's the first thing that came to my mind, which is not a hobby that I engage in, but that's okay. So did you like to go ride horses? Did you like to go sit in a coffee shop and read books? Did you like to go backpacking, in the jungles in another country? Who knows? What gave you enjoyment? What gave you a sense of adventure? What made you feel like you could just breathe and be in your skin and feel alive and feel grounded? And maybe going back to that place is somewhere that you can start now, and reclaiming a sense of an earlier version of you that you were happy with or grounded with, or when you felt confident in actually who you were. Okay, the next one we have is purity. Of course, the unicorn, which, speaking of the horse, so always trust in the purity of your heart. Look inside your heart, and within it you will find the answer to your question. Exactly, who are you? So what gives you that joy? Okay. So then we have, for spirit animal, we have the bear, which is strength. So the bear symbolizes a strong source of support in times of difficulty and adversity. It may be time for you to stand for your beliefs or your truth. With strength and confidence, you are free to roam at will and follow your path. So this goes back to the boundaries that I was talking about. So boundaries are extremely important because, like I said earlier, they teach other people how to love you. So boundaries can look a lot of different ways. It's an easier way to explain it is kind of like with kids. If you don't clean your room, then you don't get to go outside and play. Very clear. And it's giving somebody a choice. You're telling them where you stand. They get to choose if they're going to respect your boundary or not. You're just letting them know what you're willing to tolerate or not, what is acceptable to you, how you deserve to be treated, and how you're going to allow other people to treat you, right? So in setting the boundaries, the most important part, besides making it clear, if you do this, then I will do this. Totally leaving the choice on how they want to behave up to them. But it's the follow through that's important. Because if you do not follow through with what you say, they're not going to believe you and they're going to walk all over you. So going back to that example for your kids, if you don't clean your room, you don't get to go outside and play. Well, the kid doesn't clean his room. And what do? You let him go outside and play anyways? Why? He's not going to trust your word because you didn't follow through with what you said. So then you're having to work extra hard to kind of go back on that. Same thing goes for relationships. If you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're drunk, I'm not coming to pick you up. Okay, so if they call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, asking you to come pick them up because they're drunk, and you get in the car and you go pick them up, well, then your word doesn't mean anything and they still have control over the entire relationship. So boundaries are important because it is clear verbalization of what you're going to do if they cross the line that's not okay for you. If you cheat on me, then we are not in a relationship anymore. If you cheat on me, then we get divorced. So if they do that, then you have to follow through with that because that opens the door for something else. And it's not always so black and white, but this is where good communication comes in. But that's where it's important for you to determine what are your non-negotiables. What are you willing to maybe discuss and compromise on, and what is a absolute flat out, I will not accept this. You know, I think for me, and most people will agree, that in a relationship, if the partner abuses you, that is a non-negotiable. How can you feel safe with a partner that violates you? Again, in any of the mentioned capacities earlier. How can you trust them? Relationships need to have trust and safety in them. to be healthy. And respect. If somebody hits you or violates you, that's not being respectful, and it's not creating a safe place. You know, if that is what you think love is, then I think it's time for you to really do some soul searching and figure out why you think that is acceptable. Nobody can answer that for you. I'm not going to judge. You know, I had some very unhealthy things, and I found myself in very toxic, codependent, narcissistic dynamics as well. And I wasn't treated in a manner where I felt safe or protected or respected. And I can understand that positioning. And it's not an easy one to get out if you are in that relationship dynamic. Especially if you are worried about your safety by leaving this situation. There's careful planning, but again, there's a lot of great resources that can help you. And if you're on the other side of it, in order to change your future relationship dynamics, first of all, you have to change your own viewpoint and relationship with your own self and learn to love your own self. And then from there, you can, from there you can actually go and work on relationship components with somebody else. Nobody can love you as good as you love yourself. And as good as you love yourself is how other people are going to love you. It's going to mirror back to you. Okay, so the next one we have the Death card. And I have a good energy from this card. I really do. It's black and white, right? And the skeleton, he's got the armor on, but he's standing tall. So it's almost as if he has gone through and again, he's on the horse too. But he has really gone down to the bones of things, gone down to the basics of who he is, what he stands for, what is important to him, really taken a different stance from this one here, right? And even though he's all bones, he's still in a very powerful stance of what's going on. The armor I see is boundaries. The flag I'm seeing as guidance, as kind of knowing the direction he wants to go, knowing what he stands for, knowing what is important, what is necessary, what are non-negotiables within the relationship. Very prepared and moving forward. And this one actually, you can see this kind of ghost here. But this little ghost, he's not even bothered by it. It looks like it's kind of reaching out to kind of touch or go into his skull, but he's not even bothered by it. It's almost as if the perspective of it is that ghost is off in the distance. It's not within that field anymore. He's not allowing this ghost here, which kind of is similar here. He's not allowing that to blind him, to make him feel vulnerable. It's standing up for yourself and knowing who you are and knowing what you deserve. Yeah, and And that goes with the bear card. That's definitely, so that feels like progression. And like I had said that earlier, where we started processing old ones, but then you learn who you are. You make your bare bones of you rebuild your foundation of who you are. And you're confident in that. Okay, so then we're going to start on this side. Okay, the Page of Swords. Again, I don't necessarily go with traditional tarot meanings. So this particular one, I'm gonna turn it right side up, just because it's a little bit easier to see. But if we look at it, it's very young. So you could have been young in the relationship. You could have been naive with what's going on. It could have been more of a power, such an uneven power dynamic within that particular relationship. And the relationship doesn't have to be like a romantic partnership. You know, you can have a relationship that is at a workplace. You can have a relationship that is within the family unit. You can have the relationship with situations or substance abuse issues or struggling with your own identity. So there are a lot of things that can really have caused you to question what is real and what is illusion about yourself. So this Page of Swords, he's trying to defend himself, but he just doesn't, you know, since it's this way, he doesn't have the strength. And if we have it in the reversed, there's a lack of direction is the energy that I'm getting there, a lack of conviction, a lack of knowledge about what's going on. There's a certain naivety about it. I have also, there are all of these birds in the background. And so for me, and it almost looks like it's going in the ear. So it's almost that what he believes is what these other people, what these birds are telling him. And the sun, is that the sun? No, it's actually a reflection of the sword. It looks like the sun, and it looks like that's around to his back. So he's not able to see the light. And he's only listening to whatever gossip or whatever untruth these are saying to him. And that's what he's believing, and that's what he's defending. I'm also noticing the purple within this. And so probably working with some of your purple stones. Amethyst is great for kind of grounding and clearing. But there are also really other good purple stones. There's a fluorite, which is also very good to help with some of these. And if they're resonating with you, then feel free to do some research. Something will stick out, but crystals help me a lot. Especially the more in tune with energy that I got along my path, I noticed a big difference with it. So checking into some of those more holistic approaches for healing. But the purple also is a representation of that crown chakra. So, you know, being connected with the intuition, kind of recognizing what your voice is versus what the inner truth of you is versus what other people are telling you. And so that could be, again, going back to questioning, what was real and what wasn't. Was I making it up, or what was the truth of the situation? So it's really you going back and reflecting on some of the conversations or some of the events or how things unfolded that you weren't able to process whenever that was happening. Okay, so we have the fox, the opportunities. You must be quick to move out of your comfort zone, especially when the situation calls for immediate responsiveness and flexibility. Open your mind to new ways of doing things. Once you do, get ready for good luck and opportunities to come your way. Now, this particular energy, I'm getting negative. Only because the fox for this one is you having to be quick and ready to get out of danger. Having to be elusive to a certain degree and think on your feet and be ready for anything to happen if things went sideways real quick. And so for me, this is more of a representation of that past abusive relationship that you may have experienced. Again, this is not for everybody, but there is a group of people here that has experienced that dynamic where they had to be prepared to run or be prepared to fight or be prepared to defend themselves in whatever capacity. And so they had to be ready to kind of get out of a hard situation. Okay. Solitude. Think of being alone as meaning you are all one and in total harmony with everything. The greatest treasures are those that wait silently during your quiet times. Yeah, taking the time to really pause and reflect. Because at the beginning of the reading, we had that feminine that was in the dark and curled up in a ball and just not sure of what was going on. And this one is a whole different dynamic to that. You know, she is owning her space. And so by taking the time to reflect on the past and identifying the situations and looking at it from a lot of different angles and really taking the time to process it is allowing you to take ownership and to help you identify who you are as the grown-up version of it, what you stand for now. And I just noticed in this pile too, it was a power dynamic because we have the narcissist as a child, you know, not that you were a child, but there's a power dynamic, authoritative dynamic with the adult figure is authoritative over the child figure. So it was not balanced, and it could have been two adults. It's not about age in this one. It's about the power dynamics is what I was seeing with that particular one. Okay, sorry, that was a side note there. All right, let's see what the other messages are for this one. So manifest. Tell the universe exactly what you want. In order to do this, that requires you to take the time to really figure out what is you, what do you want, what do you stand for, you know, and what do you want from life, and what does love need to look like for you to feel loved? What are you willing to accept or not accept from somebody else anymore? Because you deserve love, healthy love. That requires you to do that first. Say what you mean, right? Use your voice. Speak up. This goes back to the boundaries. What are you willing to accept and not willing to accept? And in this particular card, it almost looks like she's turning him away. Or vice versa. But it's almost like a line drawn in the sand between the two of them. I'm willing to accept this, but not if it's like this. There's vulnerability with the open shoulderness. However, she's willing to turn her back on him and go the other direction. Learning boundaries is really going to help with the anxiety. A good way to kind of identify where you might need a boundary. When you are in, we'll just say we're at a checkout line at the store, and you're waiting to check out, there's people in front of you, people behind you. When somebody comes up and stands behind you, how close do you let them get until you feel that cringe feeling where you want to step away from them because they are too close and they are in your space, your personal bubble? When you that feeling that you get then is telling you that it's not okay. You're not comfortable with where they are, how close they are to you, that you need a boundary or you need to move. Either they need to step back or you're going to step back because it's not comfortable for you to be that close to them. And that same feeling applies to all situations where you need to have a boundary. If somebody makes a sexual comment to you and it just makes you just have a visceral reaction, cringe from it, then that is not okay for you. And you need to let them know, hey, that's not okay. If you say something like that to me again, I gotta block you. That's a good place to put a boundary. And they get to make a choice. You're just telling them, if they do this again to you, you're not going to accept it. You're not going to cut them off. You're not going to, end whatever the communication is or change the boundary as long as they respect that line that you drew. But once they don't, then you have every right to kind of follow through with what you say. You've let them know. Okay, continuing on. So far, this is very good progression. And again, learning boundaries, learning who you are, identifying what you will and will not accept, and standing firm in that. That's all learning to love yourself and showing people how to love you, which is exactly what we're supposed to do here. That's how your spiritual journey is going to work. Okay. Then we have the World. This is a whole different energy. This one, she's protected, right? She's balanced out. She knows what is of importance and what gives her life. And she's not afraid to look at you head on because she's confident in what she's done and the work that she's done. This to me looks like a healed state. And it may not be that there aren't things that need to be worked on, but it shows that she knows how to do the work and that she's confident in that. And she's able to work within that. It's a much, much different energy than where we were here. Okay. So we have sheep, which is innocence. You're encouraged to reconnect with your inner child in order to become more spontaneous and playful and consider what life has to offer with a greater sense of wonder. So take some time this week to get in touch with the innocence and vulnerability within you. Reconnecting with your inner self. What brings you joy? What fills you up with light and purpose? And after coming out of such a dense, serious energy from this, it is important to have balance and to balance out that negative energy, right? I'm not calling it bad because there's, bad and good has such a, a negative connotation to it. There always has to be balance. Too much light is not a good thing. Too much dark is not a good thing. Too much positivity is not a good thing. Too much negativity is not a good thing. There has to be the balance. It's not good or bad. That adds shame to it. And then shame can motivate a fear response, which means we're reacting to a situation and not being consciously aware of how we move and go through our path in life. Okay. Manifestation. So we've got this one again. Bringing light and having confidence in what she's doing and what she wants, being purposeful and intentful. And then we have abundance. Wow, those are two great cards together. Creating the life that she wants and not accepting anything less than what she knows she deserves. Prepare yourself for incoming abundance. Release any mental blocks you may have. In fairyland and human land, there's enough abundance for everyone. And believing in it. Believing in her own magic. The innocence, going back to not listening to what the other birds were telling you. Not listening to the other voices that people tell you to keep you in that power dynamic, that keep you in a place of being small and unseen and unheard with your wings down, not flying like you are supposed to be doing. Okay, love spell. Yeah, learning to love yourself. You give yourself the world by learning to love yourself. And only then will you accept somebody that offers the same. You are valuing the world that you have. You're protecting it. And you can't allow somebody in and be a partner with them that doesn't match this, that doesn't have their own boundaries in their own world and their own balance in what's going on, because they will take that from you and leave you in this state. It's almost as if she's mourning the loss of this because somebody took that from her. Okay, last one. Okay, Stoicism. Let me read this one. It's telling me to read it. This picture is interesting because we go back to the skeleton. And this one, It's a woman or feminine energy, kind of cloaked, but the white hair at the top really shines out. So to me, that means that her intuition, her crown chakra, her light is radiant for everybody to see. And also the color, the green and that bluish color, to me are screaming that the heart and the throat chakra. So being aware of her heart and what love is, and being aware of speaking up for herself and those boundaries has put her in she's vulnerable, but it doesn't mean that she's not able to protect those things or understand and accept anything less than what she knows that's worth. Okay. The only thing that matters is what you think of yourself. Another person's opinion is just an opinion. Think highly of yourself. You are extraordinary and a miracle. Take back your power and never allow yourself to think that others' opinions of you matter more than your opinion of yourself. Every time you're upset because of what somebody else said about you, ask yourself if what they think of you is more important than what you think of yourself. Stop needing approval. It's those who do not care about receiving approval who get it. Endeavor to live the life that you have imagined for yourself. The opposite of more is enough. Be mindful to stay in your power by believing that you are enough and you have enough, rather than constantly needing or wanting more. What can you give that others want or find valuable? Hope is openness to surprises. So life will always bring good things as surprises if you believe it will. And learn to be conscious about your response to challenges. Yeah, so acting instead of reacting, but knowing who you are, the value that you have, and not being afraid to not listen to somebody else, all these birds, making them feel small, making them feel powerless. Okay, got a couple more. All right. Oh, beautiful card. The black snake. Look at all the colors in that one. And that's according for this one, yeah, it said it had iridescent wings, but you didn't really see the colors that much. But with this one, you see all of them. And there's balance and growth and rebirth. And the snake is shedding that skin. But it's also bringing forth the chakra system, the balance, the magic. Okay, let's read this one real quick. So the number 43 on this card is actually standing out for me. That may be a significant number for somebody. That's probably one of the first numbers that's really stood out for me within this particular message. Okay. Many moons ago, in a garden far away, Snake slid up to Eve and said, "You have a choice." While free will isn't evil, it is complex. It requires each of us to define our own moral center and know what we stand for. Without this knowledge, it's easy to steer off course or be misled by smooth talkers and slick ideas. We grow when we see through the rhetoric and acknowledge our own truth. Each true choice expands you until, as you outgrow who you used to be, your past begins to bind and itch. Black Snake slides in to remind you that growth requires release. She says, let go of what no longer serves so you can continue to stand in your truest self. Wow, that's beautiful. That's such confirmation from the growth from one to the other. And it doesn't matter which part of this journey that you're in, the progression from the start to the end is beautiful. And even when you're having some of those hard moments, to know that it goes from this to this is enough in those darkest moments to really help you push through. It's the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so last two messages. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect different result. Change comes from thinking thoughts you've never thought before and showing up to meet them down the streets you've never walked before. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over. It's never worked. You got it? In order to make changes, you have to make changes. It's as simple as that. Other people are not going to change for you. Other people are going to react in accordance to the changes that you make. If you say that you are not going to answer their phone calls after 9 o'clock, and they call you after 9 o'clock, eventually, when you don't answer their phone calls, they're not going to call you after 9 o'clock. Or they're just not going to be in your life anymore. They have a choice. You've just let them know what you're willing to accept and not, and they're acting accordingly. All right, don't be afraid to say I love you or thank you to those who deserve to hear it. Don't be scared of embarrassing yourself or appearing soppy. You will never regret a heartfelt I love you or message of appreciation. You will only ever regret not saying it. Speaking from your heart really is what that is coming across to me as. Learning to speak your own truth. Say what you mean. Knowing who you are and being confident in that. Not listening to what the other people are and being able to feel confident in you. It's a beautiful journey. And overall, again, this feels like past. It doesn't feel like a situation you are currently in. But you definitely have to do the work to siphon out what is true and what is not. What did they say to me that really is me? And if it is you, is that a behavior that you need to work on in order to change it so you're not repeating the same patterns? Because this is your ultimate goal. And you can get there. And if you need to seek a licensed professional therapist, then do so. It's learning a new skill set. It's having somebody help reframe things for you in a way that people that are close to you aren't able to because they're biased. You can go see a therapist without having a diagnosis. Just because you go doesn't mean there's something mentally wrong with you. Like I said, it's teaching you a new perspective and a new skill set. Definitely something to think about. I think overall, it's a beautiful reading. There's a lot of growth that can happen, and you're on the right track. Just remember the reason that you're on this journey, and that is for you to grow and heal and love, ultimately. And reaching out to the resources that you need to in order to be on this journey and learn what you need to do in order to make changes so you have more abundance in your life. You have better quality relationships with yourself and other people in your life. And you're teaching other people how to love you the right way. And you're standing up for yourself in a way that other people never did. And that's a beautiful thing too. And the people that don't respect that, then they don't need to be in your life in the first place. Friends, families, coworkers, it doesn't matter who it is. If they don't know how to love and respect you appropriately, why are they allowed to have take up time and energy within your life? life here on earth is too short for that. Okay. All right, guys. If it's a beautiful message. I don't have anything else that needs to come across right now. If you liked it or anything resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe. I'd love to have you here. Remember, this is a community of support. So if you have anything negative to say to other people, just don't say it or go somewhere different. I know I talk about some harder things. I'm not here to try to trigger anybody or make anybody feel bad about situations they've been in the past. This is a place to kind of give a little bit of guidance and healing for somebody in this hard process of soul healing and doing shadow work and anything like that. But I do want to thank you for all your love and support. And if you're interested in doing private readings, all that information is in the description box. If you're also interested in contacting the gentleman that does or supplies me with all of my gemstones and metaphysical supplies, that's also down there too. So it's a direct link to get to him. But I want to thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful, it's evening for me, but it could be day for you. Whatever it is, I really am sending you light and love, and I will see you next time.